Aditya Babu, if I come to you, you fascinated me when you talked about the link between the food chain, sustainability of human societies, and the fact that the world at large grapples with hunger, and the fact that the ocean can be a source of the reservoir of food for humanity. From that perspective, how do you look at not just fisheries, seaweed, something that has interested you? I'll pause over here to hand over the passion to you. Yeah.
Thank you. So in the protein industry, we say that you have the different colors of protein. You have white, which is poultry, you have red meat, and then you have blue, which is fish, and you can include seaweed. And seaweed, there is definitely a lot of potential in India, but what is currently lacking amongst the state is a policy and a legal framework. Because as of now, you just have a registration process by the Coastal Aquaculture Authority. But if I'm an entrepreneur doing seaweed cultivation over 20 acres of water spread area, I do not have any recognizable property rights as such, right? I don't have a 20-year lease from a government. So this is something with a think tank that I know, Takshashila Institute. We have worked with the Karnataka government, and the Karnataka government has taken out a open sea-ocean lease policy. And I would request that the Odisha government should adopt something like that. Then two other things I would like to highlight is 20 years ago when I joined the seafood industry, I think our overall exports was only 500 crores. Now it's 5,000 crores. But we need to ask, has the fisheries department, sanction strength, whether it be the staff members or the budgetary allocation, has that increased by 10x? Because Samida and me, we have to export to countries like EU, and we joke that if you want to sell to the EU, for every 1 kilo of prawn, you need 10 kilo of paperwork. And, I can go on and on. So that is something I would like to highlight on a public platform like that. Thank you.
Well, extremely interesting thing that you talked about, rights of lease over water. While things do exist on riverine rights, about fishing rights on ponds, which government gives out on auction at times, the sea has never been explored. And if we just looked at adventurism in the sea, where we build a, kind of a fishing harbor, and you go to fish, but interesting when you talked about, the paperwork, and we talked about a digital world, and, the fact that, Government of India, and especially the Ministry of Shipping, and in the logistics index that we talk of regulatory issues, we talk of infra issues. Regulatory issues, I think you have provoked, Samida ma'am to speak, because she is very interested to tell me about what is the link between AI, regulation, rights, and delivering on the ground. Ma'am, since you have exported of fish in the sea, I'll pause over here, hand you over to tell you what is it about AI tech to deliver and make an export-oriented Odisha blue economy for the future.
Thank you, sir. And to just take cue from Aditya and you, I have spent 20 years in technology. And then I have left my career back in Europe and come to make a difference to the roti of the sea, that is shrimps. So basically built on three fundamentals: roti, kapra and makan are the human necessities of life. And roti of the sea is the shrimps, which needs to be nurtured and valued just not by farming and processing, but by AI and sustainability. Because when you ship to countries like Europe, and let me tell you one good fact, the prawns and the shrimps from Odisha, I'm only going to talk about shrimps and prawns because that's my forte. And when you, the only feedback that I keep getting is the shrimps from Odisha taste very nice. The quality is very good. So like you said, we have a blessed coastline, and it's just not salt, warm water and cold water, but it is 480 kilometers of coastline that we have. And that's a vast range for us to play on. So, but unfortunately, I think blue economy focuses too much on the ports and too much on the ships and too much on water. It's time we kind of take a little step back, because government has allowed us that we can farm up to 20 kilometers beyond your inland water. So earlier it was 2, now it is 20 kilometers, and it is high time We give our farmers the benefit of AI and technology, and that's for people like Magnum, B1, and other processors to do the due merit and due diligence. How do we do that? We bring in smart farming, we build in smart processing, and that will help us build stronger economy. It's simple things, drone monitoring. It's not rocket science. It is about having an AI feeder. It is about monitoring your farms with IoT. That is basically, it will help you kind of monitor your water salinity. It will help you monitor your shrimps, your health of the shrimps. Before the shrimps get bacteria or a disease, then your AI comes into play. And all of this has to be underlined by one thing, that is the green triangle. The green triangle which makes our passport to Europe and the rest of the world, that is US. I'm not too sure, but if you see them, if most of you would have visited some of the countries in Europe, any grocery or any food item that you buy in Europe has a green tag. And that does not come from India, that does not come from Odisha or the regions that they import from. It is something that the European Food Authority grants to a tag. So I'm very happy that most of the companies in Odisha have got the value and have got the potential to get that green tag, and that's only possible through sustainable farming. Sustainable farming and responsible farming. It is just that we need to kind of build awareness around it. Imagine like having a QR code where we can basically, a person sitting in Europe, like my friend in Europe, can basically say where he has got his prawn from or his shrimp from. So having said that, I would say that sustainability and technology are at the convulsion point of blue economy, and without that venturing into the blue economy of future is difficult.
Well, thank you. You have spun so many. Come back very quickly to others. While you talk on the sea, why is it that Odisha lacks a tortuous ecosystem for a fish-eating state to be dependent on imports into our state, whether it is domestic coastal imports, landed imports, etc. And what is it that we can do to rescue the situation? Because protein health is so important, and the fact that in Odisha we are largely vegetarians also. The question to both of you, how do you think, because food is something extremely fundamental to human existence, and many congratulations to both of you to work on that chain. Quick thoughts on before I come back to
I think as far as the domestic consumption is concerned, it's just a demand and supply thing, because the demand in Odisha is so much, and the supply coming in from Andhra is at a competitive price. Now, the question you should be asking is, why is Andhra so competitive, and why cannot Odisha manage? So there have been various hypotheses over the years that I've kept pondering about this question, whether it's shrimp or fish. And I think, and as the current war in Iran told us, you can never discount geography. And in this respect, it is the Krishna Godavari Delta, right? So that is a big blessing for Andhra. Because if you look at the other parts of the Andhra coastline, the productivity is not there. It's just because of that Krishna Godavari Delta. It's because of all the irrigation infrastructure which was built during the British time. Whereas now we are talking about Lower Sukhtel was inaugurated 2-3 years ago. So I think these are historical baggages that we have to work at. But given that Odisha is increasing in GDP, protein consumption is definitely a good macro play, and that's why you can see that in the feed companies, and it will continue to increase. But yeah, the productive edge is with Andhra Pradesh. We have ecosystem, we have the flywheel effect, right? The flywheel has already started. How we recreate that, that's something we can do.
Well, thank you for the clarification. My angst would be, how do we create such an ecosystem? If we were to ask you to, Aditya ji, please head a mission to create a ecosystem in which sustainable fishing, pond growth of fisheries and riverine, let's forget about riverine, even because it's largely pond culture in the Krishna Godavari belt. But before we proceed, and I will ask this question to Samita ma'am, is that, prawn farming, shrimp farming, as farming as it were, not going to sea, was also borrowed from the shores of Nellore and Northern Odisha, much before that. Earlier people used to take a trawler and go to sea. So I'll reserve that question for you. But for you, I will ask, yes, I'm aware of that. How do we create an ecosystem over here that can spun such kind of fortuous cycle, if I were to say?
I would say definitely invest in genetics, and if you can just have a meeting with the stakeholders, right? Because if you sit down with the entrepreneurs, they will tell you that you subsidize these components, not your usual white elephant schemes, which has its own thing. Like, I don't want to quote PS sign after someone like out here. Right? So I think if you sit down with the genuine entrepreneurs, they can definitely tell you. But genetics and effective feed management would be the way. And disease prevention is something that I keep telling the governments to invest in. But now, given that the cost of PCR kits are really low, we have started a farmer-led, disease diagnostic thing where we are doing public health. It's by the Prawn Farmers Federation of India. It's more active in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, and I'm hopeful that soon in Odisha also we will start having that.
See, once you discover the commercial fact, without any offense to anybody, the coast of Gujarat is a very large coast, largest coastline of India. The Kutch and the Gulf come back together. And Gujarat is a largely vegetarian state, but one of the largest in terms of marine exports out of India. So when you discover the commercial aspect of this,
and the Gujarati farmer is the most disadvantaged farmer. He pays the highest as far as electricity is concerned. He pays highest as far as his seed is concerned. He pays the highest as far as his feed is concerned. Yet he makes profit because, I think that the business mentality runs how they behave as cartels, cooperate instead of competing.
So he overcomes all this to make a virtuous cycle and marine exports become very, very strong. Dr. Swart, before I come back to you, I'm provoking you. Entrepreneurship and innovation. How do we marry that? I'll come to you, but I'll have to finish with Samida ma'am. And one, before I forget, I think BCPSC and all of us will have to rope in, the CIFA Institute. Now we're talking of that, we haven't really reached out to CIFA as in the fishing. Let's do an outreach to see. So ma'am, back to you on prawn and shrimps. Having whet the attitude, appetite of everybody. Shrimp culture and how do we, the same question to you. How can we bring the fishing culture into inland? Do you think it is worthwhile to do so? And the fact that we are hugely consuming, and also we could become a domestic exporter into places where fish eating is very popular. Assam and all places. They have huge rivers. But on fishing and sustaining the cycle, that's one question. And you did speak about technology. Tech and energy are the two buzzwords of the world today. Okay, so I'll reserve the energy part of it. Tech and the food chain. Once again, back to your final thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, so just to say something about Gujarat, to just tie the knot with what Aditya said. Why Gujaratis are successful? I don't know whether you guys know, halwa apni mithai kabhi nahi khata. I think Magnum has started seeing a good P&L because I'm allergic to seafood. So, jokes apart. So, that was just to stir up a little bit of controversy there. But just tying the knot on technology, regulation and all of that. What Magnum is doing is we have actually, thanks to Swar sir and the support that we get from his company and his institute, we have started a company called Magnum Water Engineering Technology. And this basically, we have 250 acres of farm and we provide a live laboratory for Magnum Water Engineering Technology to try and innovate and employ and deploy technology on the shrimps that is cultivated in our farms. So that is a baby step that we are taking, and I would urge everybody who has farms or who has processing units to kind of devolve and evolve into that. But before I say that, there is one big problem that I want to bring out to the policymakers and the regulators here. The thing is, imagine a school or a class which is capable of accommodating 5 children, but we put in 25 children there. So what would happen? All of them will fight for their lunch breaks, they will fight for their attention with the class teacher, and all of that will happen. In Odisha, we have a lot of subsidies, lot of schemes, but we have a herd mentality. I'm sorry to be the devil's advocate here, but when I say herd mentality, we are all going up. Even the farmers are going and starting off shiny processing factories. But is that the solution? While we are doing shiny factories all over Odisha and on the coastline, nobody is focused on farming, on hatchery, on nurseries, on aquaculture. And that is what is depleting Odisha, because we have too many factories and supply is a lot less than the demand for the shrimps. And that kind of leads to the vicious cycle of financial losses, and that is why the blue economy kind of just remains a buzzword today.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm very encouraged to say, in the light of small little fatalities that happened of Odia women largely from the Juanga tribe in Tamil Nadu very recently. It was very, what should I say, disheartening to receive orphans of women come back. The fact that they could have worked in our own state and create that change. So thank you very much for creating such situations where employability and the food chain then speak to each other and create what is truly the path to Samruddha Odisha, instead of putting it in books and policymakers in such kind of wonderful rooms to take it to the ground. So many congratulations to both of you, and certainly there. So Dr. Suhan, back to you, and I think the organizer will permit me to do a second round with you. Entrepreneurship and innovation, innovation merely would not stand, it would stand in splendid isolation maybe. How do you marry entrepreneurship and energy? And with such kind of cases that we have taken, and you being in the front line of all this, equally passionate and looking to be the cutting edge. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. I think that so as mentioned about, we promote a lot of entrepreneurship program, and I work for two organizations. One is BCK, as you heard. The other one is the Key Technology Business Incubator. Strategically, we have picked up innovations out of state, out of country, and make them scale. And it needs, again, I said, convergence. And Savitama mentioned about how Magnum is piloting some of our startups in the aquaculture vertical. But today, Aditya mentioned about 1 kg paper work. So today you might hear Credor technology, which will tell you paperless transaction document. Don't have to put any paper for the international trade. And they are doing piloting. I think Subhasha also knows about it. And we have BioPioneer, which does more of disease management, early management in the shrimp industries and the poultries. Maybe if you companies like you come forward and start partnering with the startups who have been developing from very early stage towards TRL 6, 7, and then you take them in piloting. So what we do is generally pick up ideas from individuals and help them to grow as a technical developer, piloting, commercialization, deployment, and scale up. So incubators are there many in the country. Odisha might be a big 50 of them, but let me tell you, the whole country, 1,000 plus incubator and 20 are known. And out of the top 5, KTBA comes fortunately Lord Jagannath's blessing. 500 odd startup company, more than 50 startups from blue economy sector, allied sector. As I said, blue economy is not about fisheries, but all underwater surveillance, the drones technology, the offshore energy. We have been promoting such companies. So what I'm trying to tell you, that innovations is always happening in the many places, institutions, IITs and all. But taking the next level of development, refinement, validations, piloting and deployment is the biggest agenda we have. And that's what many people they fail. So what we're doing, innovation will go on in many places. Can we help some of those technology go to next level of deployment with people like companies which are sitting on the dais in many places in the country? And today evening I'm flying to Ranchi to help one company, big company which has got 2,500 crores turnover, but they will have some 3 problem statements. How do you bring technology of startups to that level, to deploys? For that reason, especially blue economy sector, what we've been doing, especially Bhubaneswar City Knowledge Cluster for the last 3 years, with KTB and other partners with Government of Odisha, we have built 3 compendium of 50 technology in blue economy sector, and you are always a witness of that. Ajit sir is our board of directors, all of you know. Can we create a platform which talks about not development, talks about piloting, validation, refinement, and deployment? If we do that, many of the startups will see a window to deploy and scale, and that's how they will grow. And also, bigger industries will not put money in the early stage of, risk phase of development. So that is the whole agenda we have from BCTIC, and especially I said, blue economy is one of the agenda where you can create, I think, more addition to the bioeconomy. It could be a new, It is better than probably mining economy, the value-wise, but we have to build strategic partnerships. So I could see in future the way now West Bengal coming forward, and Andhra Pradesh next to us, we are very good. Government of Odisha is now creating a lot of vision documents, and 9 there will be a lot of declaration happening. Honorable Vice President is coming here. So what I'm trying to tell you, we have to all come on a convergence platform. And can you promote innovations just not for development but towards deployment? And it needs larger partnership. Government has to come on board definitely, but corporates like you have to come on board, and different organizations like BCTIC have to enable this. And we need a lot of mentorship for this. I think that's what the whole idea of convergence, what I'm talking about from BCTIC perspective. The blue economy is an interesting sector. I could see in future, next 5 years line, Odisha could be the launchpad for blue economy, and to learn from us that how we can create strategically with partnership and convergence. BCKC is committed, and today I heard from ICC's leadership, also we are going to work together with all of you to say that how startups will not only on the sell, but you deploy. So we'll give an example. So we have Vitarkanika, we have Chilika Lake, and people are all talking. I just said you witness of that. So you'll realize in the Chilika Lake there is a weed species called phragmites. I don't know what they call it, Odia. Nalbana, I think that's right. Nala. So that is, people are burning it, no economics. Just if you use it, use coastal community, it's a big economy for the livelihood programs. And we started with somebody, big corporates in India, they have supported us after so many years. And now we've started producing a lot of things, and there will be 10 metric ton per day biomass pellet will be produced out of that null plant. And then we'll have harvesting, the processing technology for lignin and cellulose extraction from that. Can you create such examples from Odisha or India? Then maybe we can talk about the international. So that's what you are doing out of small technology intervention. Similarly, just the information, Vitarkanika is a very ecological hotspot. Everybody talks about it. It's a very globally known for several regions. But can you bring technology integration towards sustainability of Vitarkanika? So we are creating a center called Center for Climate Impact Adaptation. I think MOE is also going to be part of it. We have requested Secretary and the MOE and the state government also department is very keen to it. So Imperial College and Bhubaneswar City Knowledge Cluster initiative with 28 other partners, and we are bringing more than 50 technology on Vitarkanika's need assessment. So it's a very larger network program, and we are piloting. As I said, we are not only development driven organizations, we are all piloting driven. That's the whole idea we are doing it to you. Build examples, can Chilika be example, which people not talk about burning of fragments, they'll talk about utilizing and make a bigger economy of 200 crores out of it. Small examples will create 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 crores. So we have been talking, but may not be practicing. That's the whole idea BCTIC is going to bring to many of you through strategic entrepreneurship promotion model. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Small is indeed beautiful, and when small scales up, development and deployment, as you so well said, and entrepreneurship and marrying entrepreneurship along with innovation. I think Bilal Bhai, on behalf of ICC and Rajiv Babu, I don't see him immediately here. We could think of, as we organize such seminars, also celebrating success stories of such unknown, unseen people who have actually taken a leap of faith, done the entrepreneurial journey, done a little bit of introduced technology. So when we celebrate, it would then create a ripple effect to provoke other people to think. This is one of the takeaways I feel from a situation like this. You've been smiling at me, so I thought let me reciprocate that and tell you what it can be. So sir, to Ajit Patnaik sir, I'll come back. Often it is talked about the blue and the green. As a policymaker and framing this paper, because yesterday we saw a Japanese delegation here, and we spoke about Odisha becoming a green hydrogen hub, blue methanol, green methanol, grey hydrogen, the rainbow colors are being spoken of as if it's fashionable. And if it wasn't enough, we still have an orange economy. The subject is not about that today. I'll kind of bring you back to blue. But again, blue and green, how do you think as a policymaker now seized with the fact that you're making an institutional framework, how do we kind of converge both of them? Because India's future really lies much into that, because one is about energy and one's about India becoming a net exporter of energy. Because I did hear the Japanese delegation speaking that you actually make blue hydrogen in Odisha, take it for uses in Japan. So your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think it's wonderful. What the basic thing, I think we mentioned about the coastline of Odisha, about 575 kilometers, right? So, but then we thought that yes, this is an opportunity. Right? It's a long stretch of opportunity. A lot of opportunities are there, but at the same time, you must understand it has got huge challenges. Also. Odisha coast is one of the rare high energy coasts, which is not found globally. I mean, very few such coasts are there where like this is saved by the high energy climate as well as the storm surges. So here we have to, extremely careful while managing it. And here the sectoral thing, as you were mentioning, whether it's blue or green, it won't work unless you have, that kind of intersectoral coordination. That's why I'm coming to it again and again. That is the backbone from where we can develop. And for this, what was also mentioned about we've got such a long coastline, why not we? So I would say there are two investments which is much needed. One is that is, of course, we've got a lot of opportunities for resource and a lot of entrepreneurs are there and a lot of collaboration is going on. What is the most priority is a kind of institutional mechanism where we try to no, that would completely lead to departmental intersectoral coordination. Secondly, we need a state-of-the-art decision support system, which would be, what's already mentioned. We need a state-of-the-art IT and all kind of new emerging technologies which are there, and that will lead that DSS will be the backbone again to lead it further to the blue economy as well as green and blue energy or whatever you were. So everything spans around that. So I would just like to make a mention here that this sort of, the future blue economy will not be determined by the strength of individual sectors, right? But by strength of institutional architecture that would enable the convergence to lead to sustainability and resilience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful thoughts. Final words, and we'll conclude this session with Dr. Srivastav. Sir, I want to take you a little off earth sciences into something which is, kind of keeps on recurring in my thoughts. One of my primary thoughts is that man's exploration into space is greater than man's exploration into the waters. And you talked about pressure. We haven't even developed a technological tool or a machine that can go down to the depth of Marina Trench even today. And the fascination that awaits us in terms of food, creatures, life, whatnot. But one more thing, sir. How do you look at development of pharma and blue economy and the fact that you work so closely in the ministry on earth sciences? Does it provoke something about pharma, which is again another fundamental need of humankind? What are your thoughts on that, sir, if I provoked you enough?
Thank you so much. Yes, I will try to answer your pharma part later, but just taking a cue from Patnaik sir on integration of the blue economy into the coastal state or the national development perspective. What we have suggested as part of our understanding through global best practices has been that this being a multi-sectoral, multi-dimensional sector, blue economy, it needs a coordination and an integration mechanism. And the best it could be done is by putting up a blue economy cell or a secretariat in the respective coastal states and departments. So our recommendations have already gone out to the Chief Secretary here, Anu Madam, and she has been very receptive of it. And I think the Odisha state government is already working on designating one of the line departments as the blue economy nodal for them. So everything will now start moving sub-sectorally wise through that department and right under the chairmanship of the Chief Secretary herself, so that you have a policy as well as an overall vision clarity. A similar thing is being communicated for other coastal states also, being the